Alrighty, what's up, Ringside Nation? The Ring Boys are back, full strength after endless weeks of just being in agony of finishing out the summer and being adults and growing up. Anyways, I'm here with my beautiful co-hosts, back covering another fight night. How we doing, boys? All right, awesome. You guys are so polite. I always feel like we're trying to pass it off and be courteous, but we'll just get right into the fights. Next on your screen, yearly overalls is all I'm going to go over. Artie 217, myself 218, Doc 202. Everything's on your screen. If you're just listening, go on YouTube. I don't know what to tell you. Listen, I want to skip right to Doc's lock, but we'll have a main event to cover here, so I'll be nice. Just kidding, man. I love you. Jared Cannonier losing to Kyle Braujo via decision. And I was going to make Mr. Fighting Nerd my lock of the card, but I'm glad I didn't. I was a little concerned at one point of the fight, but I wasn't really concerned. But yeah, I think the Fighting Nerd camp is my favorite camp officially in the UFC. I don't know about you guys. I think you never bet against the Fighting Nerds ever.
They come out and win, and I think you're right on. I was watching this, and I was watching the picks, and I saw that we all had Kyle. And in the second round, when Cannonier kind of started to find his range, I was like, oh no, is Cannonier back? Is this it? But it didn't happen. Kyle is just so good. The Fighting Nerds are always good at game planning. They come out and win, and all props to Jared for taking this fight. Obviously, he fought way down in the rankings, but Barallo is somebody who's very, very deserving of it because he came out there and he put on an incredible performance against a guy who's fought Sean Strickland, against a guy who's fought Israel Adesanya. So, and once again, Jared Cannonier, he's still there. He's got power, because I don't know if you guys watched the after fight presser. It was not pretty. Doc?
Yeah, I think that the story of this year has to be the Fighting Nerds camp overall. I mean, John Silva, Carlos Prates, Caio Baralho, they just put on performances that are amazing, and we've grown to expect it. And they come out after the fight, get on the mic, and talk with such confidence that I don't know where they've been the last few years. So another fantastic performance by Caio. This was his biggest test yet in the UFC, but he stepped up to it. Both Cannonier and Baralho have great chins on them. So that means that we get to have an absolute war on our TV screen. So that's what we saw. Fantastic fight. And yeah, the Fighting Nerds, they deserve performance of the year at this point.
I 100% agree. And I know Kyle's name is the Natural, and he definitely showed signs of being a natural born fighter. Glad he was able to shine fight late. For me, the biggest story in the headline is I don't think it's Cannonier's age. I think it's just he has so much going on this year that it's the Imovov decision happened, and now he gets this, and now it's I just feel bad for the man, because Jared Cannonier is the company guy, always fighting, always doing everything for the badge. So you hate to see this happen to a guy like that. But yeah, Fighting Nerds, nerd on.
I think confidence is one of the biggest things people can bring into the cage with them. And I think Jared has been a little bit down on that, especially after that Imovov decision. That was pretty tough. But yeah. He's always there. He's always fighting. So I'm sure we'll see him again. He's a guy at 40 that put up that performance too. He's good.
Agreed. From one old fighter to another, Angela Hill also not getting it done at 39. Huh? How you guys like that segue? Anyways, Tabitha Ricci getting it done. I'm seeing I think these were just rumors, but seeing Tabitha Ricci, Mackenzie Dern were in talks for fighting next or something. I was like, how can you even know that? They just finished this fight and no one wants to watch that. So I almost picked Angela Hill here, but I was like, I think Tabitha Ricci is going to squeeze the decision out here, and I'm glad she did. So, Artie, before I let you go, Doc actually picked Angela Hill, so I'll let him defend the wall here real quick.
I just think Angela Hill has had so much experience in the UFC, and Tabitha Ricci has had such questionable fights lately, which is why I picked her. I will say that although it says that she was minus 115 when we made these picks, she was actually a pretty big underdog right before the actual fight. Like she was like plus 150. Good fight, close fight, good for Ricci, but at the end of the day, for me, Tabitha Ricci was somebody that came in with lots of hype early on in her career, and she might be on someone's fantasy team. I forgot, but I'm not that excited to watch her fight.
I'm always excited to watch her fight. Baby Shark Nation, let's go. What's up? I think this might have been one of the few fights where that control time really was what squeezed it for her to get that full decision. I know Angela Hill came out there and she said something about it not being right or whatever. Like it just happens. Like it was very, very close, but I do think Tabitha did a little bit more than her. She looked a lot busier in the first 2 rounds. Angela Hill still very good. But yeah, Tabitha Ricci, I like the post fight where she says that she's not fighting again until next year, but she's going to go take a month in Thailand. I think we know what that means, especially if anyone's on Instagram and has seen Rafael Fiziev's last Instagram story. She might be going to do some fun stuff in Thailand. So
Working on that Muay Thai, huh? Yeah, I honestly don't have anything more. I'm glad she squeezed in 3 points for me. And listen, the only fantasy I care about now is football, boys. All right, I don't want to hear it anymore. I'm not coming back in the rankings. The draft's done. I think Doc might pull up and give Artie a run for his money. We'll continue to watch that.
Might?
I don't know. I don't think it's likely. Sean Brady coming up. I don't know. I think that might be the differentiator there for you boys, but we'll have to see it in 2 weeks. Speaking of might, I might have rethought my pick here if I saw what your lock of the card was going to be, Doc. Robert Valentin. Wasn't this like a middleweight fight for their UFC contract too?
Yeah.
And Ryan Loder just absolutely coming back. Didn't watch The Ultimate Fighter too much later in the season. Started watching it a little bit, and it's just not the same. Like, honestly, like, I don't know. I don't know if it's just the way that they cut and edit everything and they don't build the suspense anymore, but like those two fights, apart from Marion Santos, which we'll get to in a moment, like it just wasn't entertaining to me unless you guys feel otherwise.
Yeah, so I'll defend my pick of Robert Valentin. I think the only reason he lost this fight was because Loder had him in some submission hold early on in that first round, and I think that he hurt Valentin because then Loder was in like a guillotine and like so many other submissions that for some reason Robert Valentin wasn't able to finish, and I think it has to do with the lack of arm strength that happened as a result of that initial submission by Loder. What he got him in at the end with that crucifix was nasty. I don't know if you guys saw it, but it was just elbow after elbow, and Robert Valentin tried like 5 or 6 times to muscle his way out of that position, but there was no way to do that against such an elite wrestler who knows how to position his body, get proper weight in the right spot. So that's what Ryan Loder did. I was not expecting this from him, but he showed a great striking game, and I had no idea that his submissions would match up to somebody like Robert Valentin. At the end of the day, I think both of them deserve a contract because Robert Valentin, from what I saw on The Ultimate Fighter, was very good, and he's had a relatively long career in mixed martial arts. So I think that he's deserving of a shot in the UFC, and I think that he would do relatively well. But big props to Ryan Loder. And then we can talk about the next fight afterwards. But Marion Santos, man, lethal.
Yeah, I mean, I was surprised you picked Offley as well because what was it, like a 72-inch reach for a featherweight? Like that's insane. Like his wingspan is crazy. He's like Kevin Durant wingspan. Like if he lost that fight, get that boy a ball. He's gonna make another league somewhere else because he's so athletic.
That was a pick of wrestler versus striker. I thought that the wrestling would get him down, but Santos stuffed every single takedown. So then there was no chance.
It's always been.
Yeah, I think his team prepared him well. Same thing for Ryan Loder. Both pretty good fights. Ryan Loder just, like you said, there was that submission attempt, and he seemed to be a little bit hindered after it, and that was it. That was right there.
Yeah, those elbows were nasty. That KO was awesome. And Michael Morales channeling his inner Spider-Man, becoming Miles Morales to defend his name and get over the mountain of Neil Magny. He made Neil Magny not look like a ranked fighter to me. Like there were parts where he maybe started a little slow, like didn't have his range, didn't get like a little of what he wanted. But when he got onto his back and just started wailing on him, I was like, all right, I don't want to watch this. He did everything Mike Malott wanted to.
Yeah, he's very, very good. At first, I was like, maybe the odds are going to be what kind of throws it off a little bit for me, because it was such a huge discrepancy. I'm like, maybe Neil Magny does something here, but no, Michael Morales is insane. I'm glad he's in it. He's also 25, so we're getting a lot of very, very good young fighters in here.
I'll say that I got actually pretty nervous in that first round because Neil Magny, he was holding down Morales for a pretty good amount of time, and I wasn't sure about the takedown D. It seems to have held up, but the thing that changed this match around was that elbow out of nowhere that perfectly hit Magny in the head, and then that ended it. But yeah, Michael Morales, when he smells blood, that striking is fantastic. But I have to say, yeah, Neil Magny, I thought that he was gonna hold his own a little bit with the wrestling game plan.
Maybe we need to get him the nickname of Ecuadorian Shark. He smells blood in the water. He's ready to strike. Another guy who's ready to strike, Edmund Shabazian. Like, please finish your dinner the next time you fight. Like, those knees when Gerald shot for those takedowns were disgusting. He almost got clocked again. And then Gerald gets a beautiful side control and gets that submission. And that was just like, that is like, I think that's the only fight maybe I'm wrong, that I paid attention to this year. And it was like the biggest comeback and like dug deep and found a way to submit and actually tone to what you're good at. And I thought Shabazian was going to be a wash. Like I was shocked that Gerald was able to come in after Khamzat Chimaev just dropped him with one punch. I thought his career was over. I'm not going to lie to you. What do you think? But anyway, Doc, go ahead and have your 3 moments of fun because you missed your 3 picks from before.
As Nate Diaz once said, I'm not surprised. Edmund Shabazian does this all the time. I was not worried one bit because when Edmund Shabazian thought that he could take Gerald Meerschaert on the ground, that's when I knew that it was over. He gasses out every single time. He's way too confident in his abilities. And Gerald Meerschaert, that was the record-setting finishes at middleweight, I believe, or submissions at middleweight. One of those two. But Meerschaert does this. Edmund Shabazian is very much overrated. Plus 240, I thought was a very easy pick here. And Shabazian, I think that there could be talks about him leaving the promotion because he does not stack up to UFC caliber, even though he was supposed to be the golden boy when he started off his career undefeated for a while. Yeah, quick downturn for him.
Yeah, I agree. And I think you're 100% right. If you look at his fights so far in the UFC, it's very clear he will do well when they throw him a can, and then every single one of his losses was against an opponent that is pretty good at something else besides striking. So same thing with Gerald. He is one of those guys at 36. If you don't know what you're doing, he will make you pay for it because his jiu-jitsu is so good, but he can also strike. So yeah, he, like you said, he pulled it out of the depths. That was nasty.
I will. Sorry, one more thing. I'll say that the call out that Meerschaert made for Paul Craig was fantastic. I think that both of these fighters, they need to fight each other because they're both submission experts. Paul Craig just gets guard every single time and tries to go for submissions. That's what Gerald Meerschaert wants to do. So let's get a little Brazilian jiu-jitsu match in the UFC and let them go at it, and then hopefully end their careers soon.
Loser retires.
Winner retires.
Everyone retire, please. All right, that was the main card. I'll do my famous walkthrough of just overall the other fights. Dennis Bazookia, thought you were going to be a big thing one day. Sorry, I was completely wrong there. Francis Marshall was not familiar with the game. Zachary Reese doing Zachary Reese-like things, absolutely performing on a snooze fest, getting a boring point fight decision, outstriking but not doing anything power. Slava,
boring.
It was boring. To me, it was boring. To me, it was
Oh
boring.
my God, Jose Medina was getting lit up.
Listen, Slava getting it done, and then being told to dance, and it looked like he was in pain when he was dancing. Like that leg, like I was when he started to go, I was like, something's gonna give, and I'm surprised he didn't. And then I'm just gonna skip right to my new favorite fighter, Wayne Kong, the Joker. That I think is the highlight of the card, and I saved the best for last. Artie, I'm so jealous you got that as your walk of the card. To paint your face as the Joker, size up your opponent, pretend to shoot a gun at them, and then knock them out, and just come into the UFC women's flyweight division like that. I think we got someone to watch here, boys. So I'll open the floor, but I'm gonna loop back. And I'm gonna bring up a point about Wing Kong when I get a chance. So whoever would like to go first, go ahead.
Loser of UFC Noche gets her.
Oh,
Got it, boys. She's insane. That was a lot of fun. She like what Babe Ruth used to do, where he would point where he's going to hit the ball over the fence. She basically did that. That was ridiculous. She's super good. We need more of that in the women's divisions. Like somebody with that much power. Like that was a lot of fun to watch. And my second thing, and I'll leave it to Doc after that, is what is going on with judges' scorecards? Who gave Jose Nunez 30-27? What are we doing? Like, this is the second week in a row, right? Where something like this happens. Like, I hope they pulled whoever that was. I'm going to look over the scorecards real quick after this and tell you guys if they did, but we got to tighten up. This is not normal. I keep saying this. Get retired fighters in there because they understand game more than anybody else. They definitely need to do something.
I was going to bring up that scorecard too, Artie. That is a fireable offense. And, I think now we have precedent based on the last card. So we got to start firing these refs, bring in a new crop. And I agree, get some old UFC fighters in there and we'll be doing much better. Wang Kong, I don't know the last time that I saw a women's flyweight get a one-punch knockout. Apparently, she had beaten Valentina Shevchenko in Muay Thai at some point, which is crazy. And yeah, I want to go back to Zachary Reese and Jose Medina. Zachary Reese, first time that we've seen him out of the first round. It seemed like he was a little bit tired by the third round, but he was still throwing crazy kicks to Jose Medina's liver that somehow did not stop him. Jose Medina is a wonderful punching bag. He did this on Dana White's Contender Series, and that's what got him the contract. So Zachary Reese, no stock lost. I'm a big fan. Just work on that cardio, and he can become big things. That middleweight division is absolutely stacked, and I love to see it. I think the last thing I'll say is that there's talks that Alex Pereira wants to come down in weight to 185 to fight Dricus. I think that would be a terrible decision for the whole division because that's going to take forever. And Alex Pereira at 185, like that is death. That is death for him. So I don't want to see that. Alex Pereira has nothing to prove. He can knock anybody out on the face of the planet. So I believe that he would win, but don't hold up the middleweight division, please. We have so many rising prospects here.
You literally took my point of Kong the Joker fighting Shevchenko, and I pray to God it happens again. So I guess I just won't make my rounds of that. But yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. no fights next weekend. Maybe we'll do an episode. We'll see what happens behind the scenes. If not, probably just do a normal recap. Sean Brady versus Gilbert Burns. It's gonna be an exciting main event there. And yeah, I think the Joker needs a ranked fight immediately. No ifs, ands, or buts. I see Kong Wong weighing in there again against anyone without a number on their name. I'm sending an email. That's all I'm saying. I don't care. I'm loading it up, boys. Getting the bullet in the gun, ready to go. Anything else before we sign off here, boys?
Yeah, that judge did keep judging fights after that
Wow.
30-27. Disgusting. Rob McCarthy was his name.
Well, last card was a pay-per-view, right?
Yeah, that's even like
right, and I think that's why they actually took action, which makes no sense to me. You have to take action on that regardless.
We've had tons of cards this year, and I know that Artie has said that he thinks that the judges don't know which fighter is which and they've mixed up names. But, we've seen this 2 weeks in a row, and that just doesn't seem to be the case. And the last thing that I would hope is that this is due to some back scenes betting that's taking over UFC, similar to how it's done in boxing. But I really hope that that's not the case.
Doc's going to start looking through DraftKings accounts of the refs.
To your point, when Tabitha Ritchie was like, I bet on myself, I'm like, oh no, don't say that. Don't say that. There's too much going on.
Yeah, not a great look, but she got it done. And yeah, overall decent card. For the next weekend, maybe we'll do something, maybe we won't. I don't know. Okay. We just like to take things one day at a time. But yeah, for the common people by the common man, this has been the Ring Boys. And before we get out of here, any last words? Doc, Artie, Kamzat? Okay. All right. Bye-bye.